We've been waiting all week to find out what is going to happen with the attempt to form a union in Bessemer in Alabama. And regrettably, workers at the warehouse voted 1,798 to 738 against the effort, labor officials said. That represents a majority of votes cast, though some ballots have been challenged and have yet to be counted. The union said it would challenge the results. So yes, there's still some outstanding. And it was a very slow vote counting process. Trump was very frustrated by how slow it was. But it doesn't appear that what's outstanding or that is about to be challenged is likely to overturn the results. So I have thoughts, but Brett, what do you think about this? I know it's sort of breaking news right now.
It's very difficult to really appraise. This is just an example of what like the news cycle does to people. Essentially, I had such high expectations for this working out correctly.
Yeah,
that they would, for me personally, when it comes to unionization, my approach is, just like anything, you have to look at what would benefit people, what would negatively affect their lives. I just feel like in the situation that we all continue to learn about with Amazon and the conditions of their employees, combined with like the weird lie messaging of management at that company, the weird, wobbly, strange, unwieldy Amazon News with a blue check mark Twitter handle that's pretending that they didn't need a ton of pressure to get to $15 an hour from Bernie Sanders and Ro Khanna, and combine it with like this is when we think of industrial revolution, we think about workers' movements, we think about big factories where people are peeing in bottles and pooping in bags, and that is the kind of thing that you definitely need union pressure at giant companies like that to countervail, to give people that advocacy. And it's also strange. I understand when you look around at like Jeff Bezos and how he seems to be positioning the company. He says he's fine with a higher tax rate. But when it comes to unionization, it seems like that's the thing that he's really afraid of. I'm not in his mind, but this just seemed like it would be the ideal place for something like that. And it's weird that, and it's just last point is that it's weird that it's been so long since unions had like power and were considered to be an indispensable part of the workforce. That like it's weird that this isn't a no-brainer.
Yeah, especially in this particular case with the news. It's perhaps an example of how we try not to be in a bubble in the same way that other people are, but we're still in a bubble. We have expectations, and we're so used to the American people largely agreeing with our positions on things that you sort of expect that that's how it's going to play out in specific cases where there could be more variance, especially with the amount of pressure that was being put on employees by Amazon. But look, I don't want to repeat everything that I said in the pre-show. If you're interested in my like extended thoughts about the labor movement, I talked at some length in the pre-show today. That video is available on YouTube right now. But I will say, like, there is Amazon and all of what it did to try to pressure its employees. The probably, I think, very reasonable fear that many employees might have had that if they unionize, the entire place could get shut down or something like that. We've seen instances of that in the recent history. But also, a lot of people grew up being told that unions are the worst and that they won't actually protect you. There's been decades of propaganda for a reason. It's to produce a workforce that doesn't want its own representation. So I don't know where the causality breaks down in terms of what is due to pressure, what is due to the employees, I don't know, having a better impression of their workplace than the sort of standout cases that we obviously focus on. That said, it is going to be challenged. I know some people are saying, I don't trust it because it was managed by Amazon. It was, and look, I'm sure journalists will be looking into it, but these sorts of things are, they're not done totally by Amazon behind closed doors. I would say if you want to have an issue with this, the lead up to it, the vote is probably where that should lie rather than the idea that they just invented 1,000 votes. Like, I don't want to be every movement can't acknowledge when it loses things. So let's not be that if we can avoid that. That said, this isn't the end, and the leaders of the union unionization attempt say that, look, even getting the vote when it comes to Amazon is a huge thing. This is hardly going to be the last time either there or at other Amazon plants in other parts of the country. So it would have been great to win on this first one, but it's not required. And that doesn't mean that the fight isn't worth having.
For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.